Have you noticed it lately? Someone has been asking questions about you, not the casual kind, not the "how are you doing" small talk. These are different. Questions about your plans, your progress, your next move. Questions wrapped in concern, disguised as curiosity, dressed up as support. But something about the way they ask doesn't sit right. The tone feels calculated, the timing feels intentional, and your spirit, your spiritual radar, picked up something their words tried to hide. Chosen ones, let me tell you something most people will never understand. Not everyone asking about you is rooting for you. Some people gather information the same way hunters track prey, watching your patterns, studying your vulnerabilities, waiting for the moment you reveal too much. And the moment you do, they use it. Not always with bad intentions. Sometimes they don't even realize what they're doing. But envy, insecurity, and competition don't need conscious permission to operate. They move quietly, they collect silently, and they strike when you're least protected. This is why God has been placing a very specific warning on your spirit lately. Don't tell them this. Not everything is meant to be shared. Not every victory needs an announcement. Not every dream requires an audience. Not every door God opens needs to be posted, explained, or defended. Some blessings are designed to develop in secret, protected by silence, nurtured in hiddenness, shielded from the opinions, doubts, and energy of people who were never meant to carry them with you. And right now, God is teaching you the spiritual discipline of sacred silence. The kind of silence that isn't shame, it isn't fear, it isn't insecurity, it's wisdom. Because the people asking questions, they're not always asking because they want to celebrate you. Sometimes they're asking because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your clarity exposes their confusion. Your progress reminds them of their stagnation. And when you tell them everything, your plans, your dreams, your next steps, you hand them the blueprint to your blessing. And some people will use that blueprint to pray against it, doubt it, or worse, try to replicate it before you even step into it. I know this sounds harsh. I know it feels isolating. But chosen ones walk a different path. And on that path, privacy is protection. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal why someone has been asking specific questions about you lately, the spiritual reason God is telling you to stay silent, how to discern who deserves access to your vision, what happens when you protect your blessing in secret, and the exact moment God will reveal what you've been building in silence. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your silence is not a weakness, it's a weapon. And the less you say right now, the more powerfully God can move on your behalf. So if you've been feeling that quiet nudge, that spiritual whisper telling you to hold back, stay quiet, keep this to yourself, this message is your confirmation. God is not isolating you, He's insulating you. And what He's protecting in silence is about to be revealed in power. Are you ready to understand why? Stay with me. Why someone has been asking questions about you. So let's start here. Why has someone been asking questions about you? And more importantly, why now? Because the timing of their curiosity is not random, it's strategic. And once you understand what triggered their sudden interest in your life, you'll understand why God is telling you to guard your words. You didn't announce anything. You didn't post a major update. You didn't broadcast a breakthrough. But something shifted around you, and they felt it. This is what most people don't understand about spiritual elevation. Your growth announces itself long before your circumstances visibly change. Your energy shifts. Your tone becomes steadier. Your answers grow shorter, clearer, more confident. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking validation. You stop trying to convince people who were never meant to understand. And when a chosen one steps into that kind of internal alignment, people notice. Not because you told them, but because your presence started carrying a different weight. This person, the one asking questions, sensed that weight. They noticed you're not as accessible as you used to be, not distant, not cold, just unbothered, less reactive, less available for chaos, less willing to share every detail of your life like you once did. And that shift, that quiet, unannounced shift, triggered something in them. Not always malicious. Sometimes it's just discomfort. Because when someone is used to having access to your energy, your time, your plans, your struggles, and suddenly that access tightens, they panic. They don't call it panic, of course. They call it concern. They call it curiosity. They call it just checking in. But what they're really doing is information gathering. They're trying to figure out what changed, what you know now that you didn't know before, where you're going that you're no longer inviting them to follow. And here's the part that's hard to accept. Sometimes the people asking questions aren't your enemies. They're just emotionally dependent on the version of you that needed them. And now that you don't, they're scrambling to regain relevance. Let that settle for a moment. The questions aren't always about you. They're about them trying to relocate themselves in your story. So let's decode what's actually happening when they ask these questions. On the surface, the questions sound harmless. So, what have you been up to? Any big plans coming up? How's that thing you were working on? You've been so quiet lately. Everything okay? Innocent enough, right? But if you listen closely, if you activate your discernment, you'll hear what they're really asking. So, what have you been up to? Translation: why haven't you been keeping me updated? What are you hiding? Any big plans coming up? Translation: are you about to do something I won't be part of? How's that thing you were working on? Translation: did it fail yet, or do I need to prepare myself for your success? You've been so quiet lately. Everything okay? Translation: your silence makes me nervous because I can't track you anymore. Chosen ones, this is what discernment looks like in practice. You don't just hear words, you hear intention. And the intention behind these questions is rarely about celebration. It's about control. Control over your narrative. Control over how much they know. Control over their position in your life. Because as long as they have information, they feel like they have influence. But the moment you stop feeding them details, the moment you respond with, "I'm good, just staying focused. Nothing major, just taking things one step at a time. Still working on some things. I'll share when the time is right." They lose that influence. And that loss is what's driving the questions. Not love, not concern, loss. Now here's where God steps in. You may have noticed something strange lately. Every time you're about to share something, a plan, a dream, a next step, something stops you. A hesitation, a check in your spirit, a sudden awareness that says, "Don't say it, not yet, not to them." That's not fear, that's not insecurity, that's not you being closed off or distrustful. That is divine interruption. God is literally blocking your words before they leave your mouth, because He knows what you don't always see. Not everyone can carry the weight of what He's building in you. Some people will doubt it before it manifests. Some will speak negativity over it without realizing. Some will take your idea and try to execute it before you do. Some will pray for you publicly while questioning you privately. And the most dangerous, some will support you to your face and subtly sabotage you behind your back, not out of hatred, out of envy, disguised as concern. This is why God has been teaching you the discipline of sacred silence. Because there is a season in every chosen one's life when God protects your blessing by silencing your announcement. He doesn't reveal the full picture to you yet, so you won't be tempted to reveal it to others prematurely. He keeps the details vague in your own mind, so when people ask, you genuinely don't have much to say. And that forced ambiguity, that's not confusion. That's divine strategy, because the enemy can't attack what he doesn't know is coming. and people can't interfere with a plan they were never given access to. God is insulating your next season by keeping it between you and Him. And every time you feel that check in your spirit, that quiet, firm boundary that says, don't tell them this, you're not being paranoid. You're being obedient. Because God is not trying to isolate you from people. He's trying to protect you from premature exposure. And premature exposure is one of the fastest ways to delay a blessing that was already in motion. So if someone has been asking questions about you, and you've been feeling that spiritual resistance to answering fully, now you know why. God sees what they're really asking, and He's covering you in silence until the appointed time. But here's what you need to understand next. Not everyone asking questions has the same motive. Some are operating from curiosity, some from envy, and some from something deeper. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to discern the difference so you know exactly who deserves access to your vision and who needs to be kept at a distance. Because discernment isn't about being cold, it's about being wise, and wisdom knows when to speak and when to stay silent. Stay with me. But here's what you need to understand next. Not everyone asking questions has the same motive. Some are operating from curiosity, some from envy, and some from something deeper. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to discern the difference so you know exactly who deserves access to your vision and who needs to be kept at a distance. Because discernment isn't about being cold, it's about being wise. And wisdom knows when to speak and when to stay silent. When someone asks about your life, your plans, your progress, they fall into one of three categories. And until you learn to identify which category they belong to, you'll keep giving access to people who were never meant to carry your vision. Let's break them down. Type 1. The Celebrators. These are rare. Celebrators ask questions because they genuinely want to see you win. They're not threatened by your growth. They're not measuring your progress against their own. They don't feel smaller when you rise. When you share something with a celebrator, you feel lighter afterward, not drained. Not second-guessing what you said, not wondering if they're going to repeat it, twist it, or use it against you. You feel supported, seen, celebrated. Celebrators don't need to know every detail to be happy for you. They trust that if God is moving in your life, it's good, even if they don't fully understand it yet. These are the people who say, I don't know exactly what you're building, but I'm praying for you. You don't have to explain it to me. I see the shift in you, and I'm here for it. Celebrators protect your vision even when they're not part of it, and that's how you know they're safe. Type 2. The Competitors. Competitors ask questions because they're tracking you, not to celebrate you, to measure you. They want to know where you're going so they can get there first, what you're doing so they can do it better, who you're connecting with so they can make the same connections. Competitors disguise envy as interest. They'll say things like, oh wow, that's amazing, how did you do that? Translation, I need to know your strategy so I can replicate it. You've been so busy lately, what's keeping you so occupied? Translation, I need to know if you're ahead of me. That's such a cool idea. Have you thought about doing insert their version? Translation, let me plant doubt so you hesitate long enough for me to move first. Discerner, here's the key detail about competitors. When you share something with them, you don't feel celebrated, you feel compared. And after the conversation ends, you notice a strange heaviness, a subtle pressure, a feeling that you just gave away something you should have protected. That feeling, that's your spirit warning you. Competitors don't want you to fail, they just don't want you to succeed before they do. And that kind of conditional support is not support at all. Type 3, the Collectors. This is the most dangerous category. Collectors don't celebrate you, they don't compete with you, they study you. Collectors ask questions not because they care about your success, but because they're building a file on you, gathering information, noting inconsistencies, watching for weaknesses, waiting for the moment your story doesn't add up so they can use it to discredit you later. Collectors operate from a place of deep insecurity and control. They ask things like, "So whatever happened with that thing you were so excited about?" They're checking if you failed so they can feel better about their own stagnation. "I heard you were working on something big. How's that going?" They didn't hear anything. They're fishing for information you haven't shared publicly. "You used to talk about old dream. Did you give up on that?" They're trying to make you feel inconsistent, scattered, or unreliable. Collectors don't ask because they're curious. They ask because they're building a case. And the most chilling part, they often do this without conscious malice. They genuinely believe they're just being concerned or keeping up with you. But their energy tells a different story. After talking to a collector, you feel interrogated, defensive, like you need to prove yourself, like your words are being recorded and will be used against you later. That's not paranoia, that's discernment, because collectors don't protect your vision, they weaponize it. So let's pause here. Think about the people who've been asking questions about you lately. Which category do they fall into? Celebrator, competitor, collector. Your spirit already knows. Now here's how you confirm what your spirit is already telling you. God gave chosen ones a very specific gift, the ability to discern based on how you feel after an interaction, not just during it. Most people focus on what someone says. Chosen ones focus on what remains after they leave. So ask yourself these 3 questions about the person who's been asking. Question 1. Do I feel lighter or heavier after talking to them? Celebrators leave you feeling encouraged. Competitors leave you feeling pressured. Collectors leave you feeling drained. Energy doesn't lie. If you feel the need to defend, explain, or justify yourself after every conversation with this person, they're not safe. Question 2. Do they celebrate my growth or do they minimize it? Celebrators amplify your wins. Competitors downplay them. Collectors ignore them entirely and redirect the conversation back to themselves or to your past failures. Pay attention to how they respond when you share good news. Do they say, "That's amazing, I'm so proud of you"? Or do they say, "That's cool"? But have you thought about insert concern or doubt? The first expands your joy. The second contracts it. Question 3. Can I trust them with my process or only my results? This is the ultimate test. Celebrators can hold space for your messy middle. They don't need you to have it all figured out. They trust that God is working even when the picture isn't clear yet. Competitors can only celebrate you when you've already won, because your unfinished process reminds them of their own. Collectors don't care about your process or your results. They just want access. So if you can't share your struggle, your doubt, your in-between season with someone, then you shouldn't share your vision with them either, because vision requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust, and trust is something you give to very, very few. Here's the spiritual principle most chosen ones learn the hard way. You are not required to give everyone an explanation, not for your silence, not for your boundaries, not for your decisions, not for the season you're in. Some people will ask because they genuinely care, but many will ask because they feel entitled to know, and entitlement is not the same as relationship. God has been teaching you something profound in this season. Your vision is not a public announcement. It's a sacred assignment. And sacred things are not meant to be displayed. They're meant to be protected. This is why God often keeps the full picture hidden from you. Because if you don't know all the details yet, you can't accidentally leak them to someone who wasn't supposed to know. He's not withholding clarity to frustrate you. He's withholding it to protect you from premature judgment, from unsolicited opinions, from spiritual interference, and from the weight of having to defend something that's still forming. So when someone asks you a question and you feel that check in your spirit, that quiet resistance that says, don't go into detail, honor it. You don't owe them your full story. You can say, I'm still processing some things. I'll share more when the time is right. God's been working on me in ways I'm still understanding. I'm just staying focused and trusting the process. Those answers aren't vague. They're wise, because wisdom understands that silence is not secrecy, it's stewardship. You're stewarding a vision that doesn't belong to you. It belongs to God, and He gets to decide who has access to it, not their curiosity, not their concern, not even their love. God decides, and when He decides it's time to reveal what you've been building, no amount of silence will be able to contain it. But until that moment comes, guard your words, protect your vision, trust your discernment, and let your silence be the proof that you've learned to value what God values: privacy over popularity, obedience over explanation, and divine timing over human approval. Now that you know how to discern who deserves access, the question becomes, what happens when you actually protect your blessing in secret? What shifts? What accelerates? What gets unlocked when you stop announcing and start incubating? That's what we're uncovering next. Because here's the truth they don't tell you: the blessings that develop in silence are the ones that last in public. And in the next few minutes, you're going to see exactly why. Stay with me. What happens when you protect your blessing in secret? Because here's the truth they don't tell you: the blessings that develop in silence are the ones that last in public. And in the next few minutes, you're going to see exactly why. Stay with me. There's a reason why the most powerful things in creation happen in hidden places. A seed doesn't announce itself while it's underground. A baby doesn't broadcast its development while it's in the womb. A diamond doesn't reveal its process while it's under pressure. The most valuable transformations happen in secret, and your blessing is no different. What God is building in you right now isn't meant to be displayed yet. It's meant to be protected. Because spiritual blessings operate like natural pregnancies. There is a season of conception, a season of formation, a season of growth, and finally, a season of birth. But if you expose what's forming too early, if you announce the blessing before it's fully developed, you invite interference into a process that requires sacred privacy. This is what most chosen ones don't understand. Silence isn't just protection from other people. It's protection for the blessing itself. Because blessings that develop in secret are strengthened by the discipline of waiting. Every day you choose not to announce it, you're choosing to trust God's timing over your need for validation. Every time you feel the pressure to explain yourself and you resist it, you're training your spirit to value substance over appearance. And every moment you protect what God is forming in silence, you're proving that you can be trusted with what He's preparing to release in public. God is watching how you steward the invisible, because that's how He knows you're ready for the visible. This season of silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. And what's being prepared in you right now is bigger than what people can see. So let's talk about what actually shifts when you protect your blessing in secret. Because this isn't just a nice metaphor. There are real spiritual dynamics at play. 1. Your faith deepens. When you can't rely on external validation, you're forced to rely on internal confirmation. You stop needing people to believe in your vision because God already confirmed it. You stop needing applause for every step forward because you know the audience that matters is watching from heaven. This is where shallow faith becomes anchored faith. The kind that doesn't waver when people doubt you, the kind that doesn't collapse when support disappears, the kind that stands firm even when you're standing alone. Silence builds spiritual muscle that announcement never could. 2. The blessing multiplies. Here's the mystery most people miss. Blessings announced prematurely often shrink. Blessings protected in silence expand. Why? Because when you announce too early, you open the door to doubt that wasn't there before, opinions you didn't ask for, jealousy you didn't anticipate, spiritual resistance you weren't prepared to fight. All of that creates energetic interference around your blessing. But when you protect it in silence, God has room to work without human disruption. The blessing grows without the weight of other people's projections. Your vision clarifies without the noise of unsolicited advice. And by the time it's ready to be revealed, it's so fully formed that no one can diminish it. This is why some people's breakthroughs seem to happen overnight. It wasn't overnight. It was years of silent obedience culminating in one visible moment. 3. Your enemies lose their advantage. Let me be direct. The enemy can't attack what he doesn't know is coming. When you broadcast every detail of your plans, dreams, and next steps, you're giving the enemy a roadmap to your future. And he will use that roadmap to position obstacles, delays, and distractions exactly where you're headed. But when you move in silence, you become spiritually unpredictable. The enemy can't prepare a counterstrike because he doesn't know what you're building. He can't plant doubt in the minds of others because you haven't given him details to twist. He can't use people to sabotage your progress because they don't have enough information to interfere. Silence is not weakness. It's spiritual warfare strategy. And God is teaching you to move like he moves, quietly, strategically, powerfully, with results that speak louder than any announcement ever could. So if you've been feeling the pressure to prove yourself, to explain yourself, to announce yourself, resist it. Because what's happening in your silence is far more powerful than anything you could say right now. This isn't a new principle. God has been teaching his chosen ones the power of silence for thousands of years. Let me show you 3 examples that will completely shift how you see this season. Example 1. Joseph's silent years. Joseph had a dream when he was 17 years old. He saw himself ruling. He saw his family bowing before him. He saw a future so clear, so vivid, he couldn't help but share it. And the moment he announced it, his brothers threw him into a pit. From that moment, Joseph entered 13 years of silence, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. But during those silent years, something was happening. God was developing the character Joseph would need to carry the blessing he'd been shown. And when the time came for that blessing to be revealed, it didn't just elevate Joseph, it saved nations. But here's the key. If Joseph had kept announcing his vision during those 13 years, he would have attracted more resistance, more doubt, more attacks. His silence wasn't defeat, it was divine strategy. And when God finally revealed him, no one could deny it. Example 2. Mary's hidden pregnancy. When the angel told Mary she would carry the Messiah, she didn't broadcast it. She didn't post about it. She didn't try to convince everyone that God had chosen her. She went to the hill country and spent 3 months in silence with Elizabeth. Why? Because she understood something profound. Sacred assignments require sacred protection. Mary knew that what she was carrying was too precious, too misunderstood, too vulnerable to be announced before its time, so she protected it. And when Jesus was finally revealed to the world, the announcement came from heaven itself, not from Mary's need to be believed. Example 3. Jesus' hidden years. Jesus didn't start his public ministry at 12, even though he was already operating in wisdom that astonished religious leaders. He waited until he was 30 years old, 18 years of silence, 18 years of preparation, 18 years of hidden development. And when he finally stepped into public view, his ministry lasted only 3 years. But those 3 years changed all of human history. because what was built in silence was unshakable in public. Do you see the pattern? Joseph, 13 years of silence, then a blessing that saved nations. Mary, 3 months of hidden protection, then the birth of the Savior. Jesus, 18 years of preparation, then a ministry that transformed the world. Silence preceded every major breakthrough, and your story is no different. So what's happening in your silence right now? Your character is catching up to your calling. God is removing the immaturity that couldn't handle the blessing. He's strengthening the areas that would have collapsed under the weight of it. He's teaching you to trust Him more than you trust validation, applause, or approval. Your vision is clarifying. Without the noise of other people's opinions, you're hearing God more clearly. Without the pressure to perform, you're discovering what actually matters. Without the distraction of explanation, you're focusing on execution. Your enemies are being repositioned. People who would have sabotaged you are being removed. Doors that would have led you astray are being closed. Distractions that would have delayed you are losing their power. And most importantly, your blessing is maturing into something no one can take from you. Because what God builds in secret cannot be stolen in public. What He develops in hiddenness cannot be diminished by visibility. What He entrusts to you in silence will be undeniable when it's revealed. So don't despise this season. It's not a delay. It's a divine incubation, and when the time comes for God to reveal what He's been building in you, the world won't need your explanation. They'll see the evidence. But here's the question you're probably asking. How do I know when the season of silence is ending? How do I know when it's finally time to step into the light? That's exactly what we're covering next. Because there are signs, there is a shift, and when you see it, you'll know it's time. When God will reveal what you've been building. But here's the question you're probably asking. How do I know when the season of silence is ending? How do I know when it's finally time to step into the light? That's exactly what we're covering next. Because there are signs, there is a shift, and when you see it, you'll know it's time. Stay with me. Before we talk about the signs, you need to understand something critical. There's a difference between human anxiety and divine timing. And most people confuse the two. Human anxiety says, it's been too long, I need to do something now. People are forgetting about me, I need to remind them I'm still here. If I don't speak up soon, the opportunity will pass. That's pressure. Divine timing says, not yet, but soon. The right people will remember you when the time is right. The opportunity isn't passing, it's forming. That's peace. Here's how you know the difference. Anxiety pushes you to act before you're ready. Divine timing pulls you forward when the foundation is set. Anxiety makes you feel frantic, rushed, desperate. Divine timing makes you feel steady, confident, certain. Anxiety says, prove yourself now or lose your chance. Divine timing says, trust me. I'm positioning everything perfectly, so if you're feeling anxious about staying silent, that's not God telling you to speak. That's fear testing whether you'll trust Him. But if you're feeling a quiet, unshakable knowing, a sense that something is about to shift even though nothing has changed externally yet, that's God preparing you for the reveal. And when that moment comes, you won't have to force it. It will feel like the most natural thing in the world. Now let's talk about the signs. These aren't random. They're divine indicators that your season of silence is coming to a close. You won't see all 5 at once, but when you start noticing them, pay attention. For months, maybe years, you felt this internal pressure. I should post something. I should update people. I should let them know I'm still working on something. But suddenly, that pressure lifts. You no longer care if people understand. You're no longer anxious about being forgotten. You're no longer trying to prove you're still relevant. This isn't apathy, it's completion. Your spirit knows the work is done. And when the work is done, the announcement becomes effortless. Sign 2, doors start opening without you pushing. During the silent season, you had to fight for everything. Every opportunity felt like a battle. Every door required force. Every connection felt like a stretch. But now, opportunities are finding you. An unexpected message, a sudden invitation, a connection you didn't pursue but somehow appeared at the perfect time. This is God's signature. When He opens the door, you don't have to break it down. You just walk through. Sign 3. People from your past resurface or disappear. This one is subtle but significant. Right before a major reveal, God often does one of two things. He brings back people who were meant to witness your breakthrough, or He removes people who would have tried to take credit for it. If you've noticed relationships shifting, old friends reaching out unexpectedly, or toxic connections fading without drama, that's not coincidence, that's divine repositioning. God is arranging the audience before the curtain rises. Sign 4. You start receiving confirmation without asking. During the silent season, you had to seek confirmation. You prayed for signs. You asked for clarity. You needed reassurance that you weren't just imagining God's plan. But now, confirmations are coming unsolicited. A stranger says something that echoes what God told you privately. A scripture jumps out at you that directly addresses your situation. A dream reveals the next step before you even asked. When God is about to reveal what you've been building, He floods you with confirmation so you'll step forward with confidence. Sign 5. You feel a shift from waiting to preparing. This is the clearest sign. For so long, you've been waiting for the right time, waiting for the doors to open, waiting for God to move. But suddenly the posture changes. You're no longer waiting, you're preparing. You start organizing. You start clearing space, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You start feeling this urgency to get ready, even though nothing external has happened yet. That shift from passive waiting to active preparation is God telling you, it's almost time. So pay attention to these signs, because when they start appearing, your season of silence is ending, and what comes next will prove that every moment of hiddenness was worth it. So what do you do when you start seeing these signs? How do you prepare for the moment when God finally says, now? 1. Don't rush the timing. Even when you see the signs, resist the urge to force the door open. Let God orchestrate the how and the when. Your job is to stay ready. His job is to release it at the perfect moment. Trust Him. 2. Stay humble in the reveal. When your blessing is finally made public, people will celebrate you, some genuinely, some out of obligation, some because they want access to what you now carry. Stay humble. Remember where you came from. Remember who carried you through the silent years. Remember that this blessing isn't about you. It's about what God wants to do through you. Humility protects what pride would destroy. 3. Protect your peace, even in the spotlight. Just because the blessing is now visible doesn't mean you owe everyone access. The same boundaries you set in silence need to stay in place in success. Not everyone who celebrates you publicly supported you privately. Not everyone who wants to connect with you now is meant to stay. Guard your peace, guard your energy, guard your vision, even in the light. 4. Give God the glory immediately. The moment your breakthrough becomes public, make sure the first words out of your mouth point up, not inward. God did this. This was Him, not me. I'm just grateful He trusted me with it. Because the enemy will try to use your success to inflate your ego. And ego is the fastest way to lose what God just gave you. Stay grounded, stay grateful, stay surrendered. Your silent season is not permanent, it's purposeful. And when God reveals what He's been building in you, The world won't just see a blessing, they'll see a testimony of patience, a testimony of obedience, a testimony of trust when nothing made sense. And that testimony will carry more weight than any announcement you could have made on your own. So hold on, the silence is ending, and what's about to be revealed will silence every doubt, every delay, every person who questioned whether God was really with you. If this message spoke to you, if it confirmed what your spirit has been sensing, I need you to do something right now. Don't just watch and leave. Comment below. I protect what God is building in me. Say it, declare it, activate it, because what you speak in this moment strengthens the boundary around your blessing. And subscribe to Marked and Chosen, because your next confirmation isn't coming next week. It's coming in the next video. God is moving faster than you realize. And every message I release is designed to prepare you for what's already in motion. Your breakthrough didn't just start today. It started the moment you chose to protect your blessing in silence. And now, the world is about to see what God has been building. Stay ready. Your time is coming.